And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome back again. A bit more of a subdued feeling today after that game, but we're going to be doing our Brentford match review. I'm Nick,
I'm Gary,
and yeah, well, I think we'll just run through the game. Wasn't expecting that, to be honest, but we'll go through it point by point. I mean, first of all, the starting lineup. I don't think there's too much. Or is there anything for discussion there, really? I didn't think it did. When we did our Friday night show, we kind of said the starting 11 picked itself. It was that starting 11. You know, there was no surprises. But in retrospect, you know, could the likes of when you saw a couple of players' performances, won't go into any details yet, but could we have made any changes to that starting lineup, or do you think that was the right thing to do to sort of stick with a winning formula?
No, I think it was the right starting lineup. It's what we all would have chosen. So no doubt about that at all. I think it could have been tweaked a little bit, as in the formation, because of the way Brentford play and the fact that they play with three in midfield, and you know that obviously hurt us in the first half massively because Souček and Rice were outnumbered. So I think the same players should have played, but perhaps not in the same formation.
No, I agree. I mean, we started terribly. I know we've got a habit of starting slowly. I mean, well, we didn't really start slowly against Leeds. We had a good period at the start, and then kind of it petered out, didn't it? But this was different. This was really, really subdued. I think you have to. I don't want to, but you have to give credit to Brentford for the way that they approach the game. Tactically, they got it bang on. You know, I don't think there's any surprises in the way that we set up now. So the risk is that teams are going to come up with a solution to play us, and I think that's what happened today. Certainly for the first half. I mean, that first 12 minutes, I counted 4 excellent chances for them, like ridiculous chances. Even before they scored. I mean, that Brian and Mbeumo. He could have had a hat trick. He could have. Fab's made he made a few good saves. What he did do for the actual goal, it was a good goal. It was Ivan Toney slipped through. I can't think of the guy's name now. His name escapes me, but yeah, he parried a shot into the path of in Mbeumo, Kinder Bueno, I want to say, but he put it into the net. It was only just over the line as well. Fab's almost made a double save. It was literally, it was millimeters, and it was given. So 1-0 down. We weren't really offering much more to counter that. I mean, we had a couple of breaks with Antonio, who was sort of bombing on down the left. We was playing sort of very direct. We was deep. We weren't getting fullbacks forward. I thought we had a couple of players that were quite more than a couple. In fact, I think we only had a couple of players that turned up in that first half. I've seen Antonio's got some pelters for being ineffective. Antonio ran his socks off. He was feeding off of scraps. He was fighting their defenders. He was everything positive. Not that there was much positive in that first half. It was kind of coming from him, from that sort of battering ram that he is, and. It was you had other players that were quiet. You had Fornals and Bowen were both quiet in the first half. You had I thought Rice and Souček weren't bad. I think they were outnumbered, but they were good. They were breaking up play. Rice was superb. He must have been getting so frustrated because on more than one occasion he put in an amazing interception and he'd feed someone a ball. And on one occasion, Soufal, who had a stinker of a first half. On one occasion, Soufal, and he just overhit the ball again. He kept doing it in that in that half, and it was so frustrating. But what were your thoughts on the first half, anyway?
Miserable, really, really miserable. I thought we were really, really slow to start. I see the game slightly differently to you in that I don't think they were necessarily absolutely brilliant. I thought we were poor. And I don't think they went close to scoring 4 goals. I thought they had a few decent chances. They hit the top of the bar. One that I saw very clearly from behind the goal that Rice was always going to block. right? He had his body position in the right place. So I didn't see any massive danger. And when they scored, to me, it wasn't a surprise because of the amount of pressure they put on us. But, you know, having said that, they just about scored. And what they did as soon as they scored is they started with the slowing the game down. Which is, you know, the dark arts, as people like to call it, if they want to give it a compliment. But unfortunately,
not in the first half, they didn't. That was second half.
No, they did it in the first half as well. They did it from the time Nick.
We stemmed their flow in that first half.
Let me say what I'm going to say. They, as soon as they went 1-0 up, they basically stopped playing. That's what I saw. They stopped playing and they started going down for extended periods of time. They were time wasting, they were niggly, even a 50-50 ball where it was clear that a guy wasn't hurt, he'd roll around on the ground and he'd take ages to get up. They did that for pretty much from the minute they scored. They were trying to run the clock down from the minute they scored. That's what I saw. You know, that's the way I saw the game. I thought we had lots of players that didn't turn up and lots that did. I think if I was to pick some out, I'd say, and this is not just for the first 45, this is for the whole game. I thought Souček was diabolical. I thought he looked lethargic, really sort of tentative. It's like the way they were closing him down in midfield, he could not cope with it. He was panicking into passes. He looked awful, as did, as you said, Fornals. Fornals had a bad 90 minutes for me. He should have been hooked. He should have been hooked early on in that game. They're a fast team, a fast, pacey team. Fornals is not pacey. When and I think this is something that happened. It was like a Venus flytrap, what I saw, right? When one of our forward players got the ball, it's clearly a tactic. You saw 4 or 5 Brentford players descend on them like a Venus flytrap. They absolutely closed them down. And that was Fornals, Ben Rama. The only one I won't call out is Bowen, because I thought he played well. But Antonio as well. Antonio worked his socks off, but he was also caught like a deer in the headlights, ball at his feet, players descending on him. You've got to play the ball early and get it out, get the pass off, because otherwise those players come into you. And that's eventually in the second half, they figured that out and they started passing early. But all through the first half and for some of the second half, Brentford were getting away with that. And it's like a Sunday league tactic. It's like everybody rushing towards the ball, towards the player. Ben Rama, he just completely lost his shit a few times. And Fornals just couldn't handle it. As soon as those players started shutting him down, couldn't handle it one little bit.
Ben Rama, in particular, he grew into the game initially, but he was too nice to start off with. It was all too nicey, high-fiving his old teammates and stuff like that, which I don't really want to see. But that sort of sentiment that you go back to that. But I will pull you up on that sentiment that you give there, which is a really snidey sentiment that all big teams give us. You know, they didn't play well, we played bad. That is exactly what we hate when other teams, when we go to a big team and we beat them, Man United, it's because Man United played bad, not because they played well. Whereas what you've got to admit is, you've just said yourself, Souček looked sloppy, Fornals looked sloppy, because whenever we got the ball, they descended on us, they pressured us, they put us under pressure. And there was dark arts there, and they were. I mean, it's not a loving for Brentford by any means, but I am going to give some balance to it, because they did play to their strengths. And if we shit out certain things, if we go in and we start sort of kicking people up in the air, we sort of pride ourselves at the moment for being a nasty team, not very nice. Well, we can't go crying when another team sort of comes to us and sort of does the same thing to us. I mean the team. We can't. Listen,
I'm quite a bad loser. I'm not one of these people. I'm not one of these people to say, well played, you did brilliantly. I'm never going to fucking do that. I'm never going to do that. When we lose, especially a game today that we should have won, I'm going to come away from there fuming. And I am absolutely fucking fuming at the way that game was taken away from us. It was literally ripped away from us by Brentford.
We gave it away.
It was ripped away from us by, especially in the second half, Brentford, with the help of the ref, because we were quite good in the second half.
We were excellent.
In a minute.
We were excellent. Let's move on to the second half anyway. Like I say, as you've just said, this was definitively a game of two halves. Brentford, they did have the first half. They did. They had clear chances. You may not have seen them, but they had clear, very, very good chances early on. But in the second half, we created lots as well. And you know, I think on I'm not going to run through every event. You know, we all watch the game, but we got our deserved goal in the end. You know, it was a good finish from Bowen. Again, that there was a call for that on the TV for that to be VAR'd because Antonio was in the sight of he was offside in the sight of the goalkeeper when Bowen got that goal. So that could have been chalked off, but it wasn't. I know.
Better, wouldn't it?
But I think for me the real Bowen had a good chance of a header, but the point for me was that Rice cross into the box. I don't know if you've seen it. I know you saw it, but it's even worse when you kind of watch it from different angles. And it's to Antonio when Antonio and Souček are queued up to head the ball, and they both miss it, and you're just like, how did you miss that? And it was unreal. That was 6 yards out.
I know. It was an open goal, and so was the Bowen one. The Bowen one earlier was an open goal. There was 2 open goals. You can't. The least you've got to do in that position is hit the target, right?
100%.
You know, with a Premier League game, chances don't come around very often. So when they do come around, you've got to make them count. You've got to put them away. And I'm head in my hands with the Bowen one, and even more so with the Antonio one, because you kind of expected it with Bowen after his miss the other night. Then he surprised us. But Antonio, you don't expect that from Antonio.
He tried to power it in. If you watch it back, what he does is he draws his head back and he tries to smash it. He tries to, whereas he didn't really need to even do that. He was that close into the goal. He just needed to just guide it in.
Yeah.
But look, I'm not going to dig Antonio out because, like I say, he was feeding off scraps an awful lot today. Most of our chances he was involved with because he was nicking the ball. He was beating people up. He was like you said that they were up for a fight. So was he. He was up for a fight. He was brilliant. You know, he was dragging that Janssen, who I kind of highlighted before on the Friday night show. I highlighted him, and he was pulling him all over the place. And he did play well. There were some better performances there in the second half. And I think, you know, we were unlucky. We were unlucky, but and I felt gutted when they got that goal. It was against the run of play. It was undeserved. But for me, if I'm being honest, after the first half, I would have taken a draw. After that first half, I would have taken a draw. We did deserve more.
Yeah, me too.
But they deserve more from the first half. We like we did against Leeds. Because we did get away with one against Leeds. They could have gone in another goal or so up. We've got to stop giving teams a head start. We ain't going to keep on coming back from behind. And I don't know what it is, but I mean, just going back to that first half. Why do you think? I do agree with what I said, obviously, where I do credit Brentford with devising a tactic that worked, and they applied it right, and they really kind of they stifled us, and they swarmed all over us in that first half. But there was no doubt that you're also right as well, because I do think that we were either off it or it was a tactical masterclass, and it took Moyes a while to work it out. But what was that first half all about? Why were we so bad? Because we couldn't get near them.
Well, we had a number of players who were just off their game. I thought Soufal was awful. I thought
he was the worst player on the pitch. The worst player on the pitch.
Yeah. Ben Rama was, as you said earlier, right? Ben Rama was a little bit. He was there, but he weren't. He was a little bit AWOL. It's like you remember when he played that final for Brentford and he didn't show up. And I think there's been a lot of build-up for Ben Rama this week in terms of expectation. You know, going to his old club, I think he's been, you know, complimented publicly by their players and stuff like that. Best player I've ever played with, etc., etc. And I think it might have gone to his head a little bit. And so he basically didn't turn up. And you got to say, you know, that chance in the first half where he had a chance to bend it into the corner, that was a good chance.
He had two good chances. He had 2 good chances. He had one shot that was straight down the keeper's throat. Yeah. He had that one that you just said there that he kind of bent around. And you know what? It was at the right height for the keeper. If it had been on target, the keeper would have saved it. And then there was a free kick that he did, because it was like the Ben Rama show. This afternoon, and that free kick that we had, it was 25 yards out. He struck it well, but you know what? The keeper tips it over the bar. It was central. It was never going to beat the keeper. It was. Do
you think that was a little bit sentimental of Moyes to? And again, like let's make things clear. I love Moyes. You love Moyes. We give Moyes credit every single week, but when he gets something wrong, we got to call it out, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that was a little bit sentimental of Moyes? Was it a tactic? Was it a thing to say you're playing against Brentford, you're going to take a few set pieces? You know, because he took a couple of them today, didn't he? One of them was between him and Cresswell, where they played the ball back to each other, and then it hit the defender and went out for a corner, which was just fucking pointless. And the other one was that free kick, and it was a reasonable free kick. It was nothing great, but it was a reasonable free kick. I just wonder whether he was getting some special treatment because he was playing against Brentford, his old team, and a lot of love there.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, he has after what he pulled with Mark Noble. I think he's definitely got the sentimental side of things. I think he does make decisions sometimes based on that. But I suppose I'm not going to criticise him for that. I mean, look. To be fair, Ben Rama didn't have a bad game. Once he got that initial period out of the way, he didn't have a bad game. He was average. Yeah, but he was busy. He was fighting for the ball as well. His passing was snappy. He was all right. He weren't. No, he was good in the second half. I think most of the attackers were good in the second half. But so overall, obviously, apart from having your heart ripped out when that goal went in, what's your final take on that game?
Well, I think again going back to the way they played and the way they were, and there was and again these little things when you're inside the ground, they really wind you up, right? So. The time wasting and everything. There was one time where it was just by the Bobby Moore where we are. The ball goes out. The Brentford substitute, catches it, throws it over his head, and starts fucking giving it large to the crowd. He's laughing in the face of the crowd and everything else. And there's no need for that. When the guy scored, he's run across to the first goal. He's run across to the corner of Bobby Moore and the Billy Bonds, and he's giving it to Jamie Vardy. It's like, who the fuck are you? Go on,
I didn't notice that.
Yeah. So all these little things, these little niggles turn up. And there was one time in the second half where extreme hardcore time wasting going on to the point where they've got a throw in. Well, we've got a throw in. And the guy's clutching the ball, right? He's clutching the ball. And Moyes has had to go and get the ball off him to give it to our player. And then he's done that. And then 2 minutes later, the same guy's got the ball for a throw in. And he's to waste a few more seconds. He's offered it to Moyes. All these little fucking mind games were going on inside the stadium. And honestly, left there fuming, absolutely fuming. And the referee let them get away with it. Every single thing.
He wasn't a good ref. He didn't have a good game at all, did he?
He was terrible. And he didn't stop. Honestly, that Rapid Vienna ref the other night, he was like a dream, the way he let the game flow and everything else. This guy barely took the whistle out of his mouth. He was blowing up for everything. And that's exactly the game that Brentford wanted, right? They wanted the game stopped every couple of seconds so that they could waste a minute,
Yeah.
That's what they were doing. And you've watched it on telly. I've watched it in the ground. That's why I'm so much more fucking wound up than you are. That's just the way it is. Yeah.
I'm upset. I think we've just kind of we've slipped up, which is something that I've grown accustomed to us not doing under Moyes. We tend to not do this. I know. So it is a bit of a shock. Got a guess it's going to come on in a second, but I am going to ask you one question because I don't want to labour this point at all because I'm sick of talking about it. But as you know, there were protests today before the game. As you can see from the pictures, I weren't there, but as you can see from the pictures, they were plotted up at the back. So that on the approach, the team coach drives past and can see it. What were your thoughts on that? Do you think is
that what they did? Did they put themselves there so that the team coach drives past?
That's what it looked like. Yeah.
Look, if they did that, that's fucking bollocks. Absolute bollocks. I am absolutely. Why would you do that? Why would you do that if you didn't want to make the team aware that there's a protest going on? Right? Don't matter. I did read this. I read something like that on Amazon United earlier where they said, when the team bus goes past, give them a cheer. Well, it's still a protest and they're seeing you. It doesn't matter whether you're cheering or not. You got your horrible big banners there and everything else. It's a protest. That is, if that happened, I think that is foolish in the extreme. Absolutely foolish. And I again, me and you didn't see the point in the protest beforehand. Right. Still don't, even less so now.
No, I know.
That's true.
And you know what? There is no way of disproving that had no effect on that game.
No, there isn't. There isn't. So they got what they wanted. Protest when things are good. Protest when things are bad. Let's make things a little bit worse. Then we can have a reason to protest.
Well, that's enough airtime for that anyway. Let's bring.
Hang on a minute. I just got a couple of words, right? Just a quick word about Brentford, and this may appear a little bit condescending, but that's intentional, right?
Go on.
So look, you might get away, Brentford, with your first season in the top flight. Many do. We'll see you bounce back to your level soon enough. One day you might even fill your 17,000-seater stadium. So enjoy the times while they last. It won't last long. You will be figured out. It's just a matter of time. You and your tourist fans who brought nothing to the game today, by the way, other than the Song of Tossers, which is by far the greatest team the world has ever seen. Fact is, you're not the greatest team I've seen this weekend. So get back in your box. See you later. That's it.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Right. I think he's back now. I'm going to grab him before his signal dies again. But yeah. I think it's. I think he's still on. He's still on 2G. I think Ozzy on his iPhone.
Ozzy.
John,
is he alive?
Are you alive? Can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Yeah, but can you hear me?
Yes,
yeah.
I can hear. Yeah. How are you, mate? You all right? Oh no, he's got bad signal. Okay, all right. Well, let's continue until he comes back on anyway. I mean, look, it is what it is. I'm not going to criticise Brentford for being cocky because I'm not going to. I've got no malice against them, to be honest. I don't like them. I'm just upset with West Ham. I'm upset that we I'm upset that we lost.
I don't dislike Brentford. I just dislike them today. I know.
I think there are some brilliant performances there. I think some of their player performances individually were quite fucking heroic, to be honest. But there was loads of dark arts. There was being horrible. But so what we'll do, I'll tell you what. Shall we just jump onto the player ratings, and then if people come in and join us, then I'll just throw them in.
Yeah, this should be good. Yeah.
All right. So first one, Fabianski.
I think Fabianski would have had a 7. Now he's got a 4. You cannot do what he did at the end of that game. You cannot pat a ball to a player who's going to put it away. That's the 3rd time he's done it. He did it another time in this game, even though that's a bit harsh. But he also did it against Cristiano Ronaldo. Again, perhaps a bit harsh. But this one today, the last one, was unforgivable. It was terrible.
Yeah. That is frustrating. So you're giving him a 4. All right. I'm going to give him a 6. I'm not going to be that harsh. I think he did a few good things. None more. So I think my favourite Fabianski moment today was when he came out and he headed the ball clear. I thought that was pretty good. Did you not say that when he
must have been down the other end?
Yeah. That was pretty good. It was quick thinking. He did well, but made some good saves as well. But anyway, move on to the next one. So Soufal.
4. He was rubbish.
Yeah, I'd go as far as, even though he picked up in the second half, and he did. Do you know what? He did one excellent thing where I think it might have been for the Bowen header where he nicked the ball high up the pitch and he crossed the ball into Bowen. That was Soufal had done that. But that aside, he was shit.
He made too many mistakes. Too many mistakes in one game.
Yeah,
for such a seasoned defender, not well under par.
No, that's I agree. So I'm going to give him a 4 as well. Even though he was that bad in the first half. I think the 4 is the first half performance was a 2 or a 3 for me. He did nothing right. He did nothing right at all. But people might think that's harsh, but that's my opinion. Next one, Cresswell.
He did all right. I'll give him a 6.
Yeah,
he
was all right. His deliveries were good.
I'll tell you what. There was one thing that frustrated me with Cresswell today, and that was the way he slowed down our counter-attack every time. You can always bank on Cresswell to take about 4 or 5 touches before he releases the ball.
Do you think so?
And he was doing it a lot in the second half. We wanted to counter-attack quickly or attack quickly even. And take it, cut inside, he'd cut outside.
Do you know what I couldn't work out today? Because you know what I enjoy in terms of partnerships on the pitch. I quite enjoy the Cresswell-Benrahma partnership on the left-hand side. And I couldn't quite work out today why Benrahma wasn't out on the left and Fornals was. Fornals for me is always better when you play him central because he ain't got the pace to be a winger. And Benrahma and Cresswell have got they've got a good understanding. I quite enjoy their interplay. So again, I do sometimes scratch my head when Moyes does that, when he plays Fornals. I understand why, because Fornals is more defensive minded and he's going to give the fullback more cover. But it's no surprise that we were so regressed in that first half.
What are you giving him then?
7 for me.
All right.
I'm going to give him a 7. Right, this is an interesting one. Kurt Zouma.
Well, look, can you play back for me? In the first half, he got the yellow card. It looked to us like he'd taken the ball. It was either that or it was a deliberate foul.
No, he made a mistake, sold himself. Tony robbed him completely, and then he clipped. He done him. Oggy was a standout defender in the first half.
Yeah.
He didn't have a good game. He wasn't terrible, but he didn't have a good game.
Yeah, I thought apart from that mistake, I thought Zouma did all right, but I'll give him a 6.
Yeah. I'm going to be kinder than you. I'm going to give him a 7. I don't think he was terrible.
No, he wasn't. He definitely wasn't terrible. 6 is an average score for me. It's like
Next one.
Bonner, I agree with you. I'll give it Bonner an 8. I thought he was immense.
Irrespective of that mistake that he made. To be fair, it was a professional foul. We knew what he was doing when he gave that foul away, and he didn't know that Cresswell was behind him because he kind of, I think in his mind, that player was clean through where he wasn't. He didn't actually need to do that, but even so, he was for me the standout defender. I mean, I'm going to go for an 8. I think he was brilliant today. He was really dominant in the air as well. So next one.
Rice, I thought was in the same bracket as Ogbonna. I thought he was superb throughout. I'll give him an 8 as well.
Yeah. No, I agree.
He really tried to take the game by the scruff of the neck several times. You know,
the thing that impresses me most is the fact that Rice's level is considerably higher than some of the people around him. And I will say this, and it might upset people because he's a fan favourite, none more so than his central midfield partner. He's technically far more gifted than Souček. He just is.
Yeah, I agree.
And the way that he sort of reads the game, and a couple of the times I sort of go back to what I said, where he kind of broke up play, and he'd release someone, and it just gets wasted. And he does so well to kind of not lose his shit and get frustrated with people, because I think I would if I was Declan Rice. I'd probably be a little bit more impatient. Next one, Souček.
Well, look, I don't think he was as bad as Soufal or the other bloke, but I'll give him a 5.
Yeah. I'll go 6. I won't be as harsh. I didn't see him as I didn't see that he had as poor a game as you. I know what you're saying. Those moments where he was being crowded out, but that was just it, Gary. He was being swarmed upon. He'd get the ball and then he'd have 2 or 3. I don't even know where their numbers were coming from because they were playing with 2 up front. So I have no clue. Their work rate, they must have wanted it more, because you play with 2 up front and somehow we were being crowded out in midfield. It was just a bit bizarre. I think when you play Benny in the middle and Fornals out wide, I think we miss Fornals in the middle sometimes, because Fornals adds to that. And it gives you a bit of a different dynamic as well. It's something different to Rice and Souček. I'll give him up. What did you give him? 6.
I gave him a 5.
Give him a 5. I'll give him a 6.
I thought he was really, really, really under par today. He did some good stuff. That's why I'm not giving him a 4. But I don't think he did enough to earn an average score for me. So he's below average.
No. Bowen.
He was my man of the match. So I thought he worked his socks off like he always does. He should have scored the open goal, but it was a cracking finish for him. It's not just for the goal; it was for his general work rate. He was doing what Bowen does and just being a wasp and trying to make things happen. The second half he was really good. So I'm going to give Bowen it's a high score, but I'm going to give him a 9.
I disagree with this one. I think I saw his game a little bit differently. I love Bowen. I've grown to love him this season. I think he was poor in the first half. the fact that Soufal was terrible on each side wasn't helping him at all in any way. He wasn't getting forward and he wasn't getting forward like he usually does to sort of provide that overlap and take a defender. I think that was a difference in the second half. We pushed those fullbacks up the pitch. And that was when Bowen started to improve. So I'm going to go a 7 for Bowen. No more, even though he scored. I'm going to go a 7. He didn't have his best game today.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just what I saw in the ground was perhaps different to what you saw on telly.
Yeah,
I saw a lot. I saw a lot of work rate from.
He was working really hard. You're right, but all to it was fruitless. It was fruitless labour. It really was. Next one.
Average
Benny.
6 average.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. In fact, I almost feel like sort of minusing a point for all the nonsense that we spoke about earlier on. You know, all the loving with the ex-Brentford. You know, do that before the game or after the game. Don't do it when you're on the fucking pitch. It's unnecessary.
Well, I don't want to see it, and I might have vomited in my mouth. If I saw him high-fiving the Brentford players, I might have vomited in my mouth a little bit.
Yeah. It was.
I don't like all that. It's football. It's competitive. You ain't gonna be friends. Be friends afterwards, not before.
Yeah, no, that's right. So I'll go the same as you on that. I weren't overly impressed. I can't really give him a 5 because he was involved, but he's not getting any more than a 6 from me. I think we're going to disagree on this one as well.
Oh my God, I thought he was terrible. I thought he was terrible, but I thought he improved slightly in the second half, so I'll give him a 5. He was woefully. I mean, they had his number from the start. Brentford, they seemed to be targeting him because of his lack of pace. They seem to really, really know what to do with him, and he just couldn't react quickly enough, like a deer in the headlights. I'm struggling between a 4 and a 5 on this. Actually, I'll give him a 5 because he'd done a couple of decent things in the second half. That's about it. He's lucky to get a 5.
Okay, I'm going to give him a 6. He improved massive. Well, they all did. All the forward players improved in the first half. I mean, in the second half. In the first half, if I'm honest, there were a couple of moments that were a lot of our few attacks towards the end. Yeah. He's always kind of he's always involved. You know, he's got his forward thinking. He tries to get the ball forward. He's quite a progressive player. Yeah, he was still trying to do that. It wasn't quite coming off for him. But no, I'm going to give him a 6. I can't give him any more than that, even though I'd like to, because I love Pablo. Lastly, no, we've got one more. Mickey.
Well, I don't think as soon as I've given Rice and Ogbonna an 8, I can't, for the work that he put in today. I think I'm going to give him a 7 because I was upset in the first half with how and for parts of the second half with how slowly, when he got the ball in a crowded area, how slowly he released it, and then he got that people closing in on him, and he did that several times at the start of the second half. Can't fault the guy's work rate, and he did battle, and it's very unfortunate not to get. He should have had at least one goal, right? But he was a constant danger. But it wasn't his best performance. So I'll give him a 7.
Yeah, okay. I'm probably, I can't really go any higher than I'd like to. But he is a forward player, so you expect goals from him, and he did have that gilt-edged chance. I think his performance was an 8, but because he missed that header, which would have won us the game. He's going to get a 7. That was worse than Ogbonna's mistake the other end in my mind. But But anyway, here's what it is. He put a lot of work in. He always does. I love Antonio. Right, finally, let's have a little discussion on the wee man at the side of the pitch.
Yeah, so I think he got the tactics wrong, as I said up front. I thought it was obvious the way Brentford were going to line up, and they were going to outnumber us in midfield. I think 10 minutes into that game, it was pretty clear that we were being outnumbered in midfield, and he should have reacted and he should have changed it proactively while the game was going on. I was quite happy, having said that, with the way he clearly had a massive pop at them at half time, and they came out and they were much improved in the second half. So he kind of did his job there. You can't cater for the goalkeeping mistake at the end. We should have at least got a draw out of that. We should have, we had very good chances to win the game. So you could argue that he got it wrong in the first half. He fixed it in the second half. But very, very strong bench, a lot of strong players to choose from. And not one of them, even though there were some players that were playing really badly, like Souček, like Fornals, the likes of Kral and Vlasic don't even get a look in.
No.
Don't even get a kick.
No, I know.
And I'm not sure that's the right message to give out, because to me, I think it says, and I hate this, right? I think it says that if you're one of the first teamers, you're the kind of senior, you're untouchable.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody should be untouchable. I think the only ones that are untouchable, and that's because they produce the goods week after week after week, are like Rice, Antonio, people like that. The rest of them are, and Bowen as well. The rest of them
interchangeable.
I see him as up for grabs, right? I mean,
Yeah.
not some defense, but for instance, Vladimir Soufal had a stinker today, right? We've got Johnson on the bench who played brilliantly.
That should have been a change. That should have been a change. In fact, I don't think I would have waited till half time. I think he was playing that bad. I think, I'll probably, after about half an hour, I probably would have pulled him off. You could have said after the game, he's got a groin strain, he was struggling. I'll put him in, but he weren't quite ready. He could have saved his blushes. I
agree.
I would have done that. He wasn't right at all. But in respect to, because there's a lot of people now that are saying the same thing, and I'm that normally frustrates me. It's probably quite hypocritical of me to kind of almost doing the opposite of what I normally say, because people are criticising Moyes for not making changes. Whereas when I looked at the bench, because we needed a goal, so when I looked at the bench and the way that people were playing, because I think that Fornals, Benrahma, Bowen, Antonio, I think that they were all doing well at this point. We were creating chances. And I didn't see Yarmolenko or Vlasic helping. I didn't see bringing one of those on. I didn't think that was going to help. I've got to be honest. So
I thought Kral could have been brought on for Souček, and I thought that Johnson should have been brought on for Soufal. They're the two that I would have picked. And Vlasic, maybe not. I don't know, but I personally would have given I personally would give Vlasic 20 minutes in most games.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we was chasing the game. We needed a bloody we needed a win, didn't we? At the time we just needed an equaliser. So he's super careful, isn't he?
So we got to score Moyes anyway, right? So out of 10 today, I'll give him I'll give him a below average 5.
John, I'll bring you on in a second. Stay there. You got a better signal now. Go on. So you're going to give him a what? A below
average 5 today.
Okay. I'll give him a 6. I'll give him a 6 today. He didn't really get it right today. But anyway, let's wrap that up and let's bring in John. See if his stream holds up this time. Here he is. Here she is.
You're right.
Hello. How are you?
I'm all right. You?
Yeah, not bad. Did you go to the game today?
Yeah, I rushed there. Got there about 20 minutes to kick off, and it was a shame. Really, it was a bit of a damp squid first half. But we knew Brentford would come out quick. They got a very quick attack, I've got to say.
Yeah.
But it was just disappointing. But I'm not going to be too detrimental to the team in that. I mean, you guys have covered most of it already, but I think a lot of them did look very tired. And it's just very easy to go down the route of the squad small and European football on a Thursday, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's just difficult to know what went wrong. It just looked so lethargic. And in the second half, he obviously give him an iron brew at half time or something and give him a kick up the jack sheet. They started a lot better, So some of the players today looked tired throughout, and some of them couldn't even, in my opinion, they couldn't even raise their game a little bit, I think. So, I thought Souček was quiet by his standards.
He was.
But the one that didn't look tired was Rice, and he played 90 minutes a couple of days ago.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think Rice Rice and Soucek first half were exposed and undone by their pace in the middle and the attacking line a lot, and they sort of played random a lot, popped it around them a lot. But the second half, Rice definitely upped his game, became more dominant. Whereas Soucek, unfortunately, I'm not slagging him off because I love the geezer, but he just didn't seem to be able to raise it a lot. And there was a lot of talking between Rice and Soucek. They kept sort of gesticulating towards each other, sort of saying, you should do this, you should do that. And there wasn't arguing, it was just the passion of the game. But
I mean, really? It was. I mean, the way that they set up, what I couldn't quite work out was they set up with two up front, but they seemed to be outcladding us in midfield. How's that even possible?
Well, they played very Liverpool-esque. Every time we had a goal kick, they had their two forwards up, and their wingers were right on Cresswell and Soufal as well.
Yeah, they were.
So the outlets were very minimal, and I don't know if you noticed it, but Fabianski's kicking today. I mean, he kept finding touch so much.
Terrible.
I know, but that's a bit of a theme with Fabianski, though, isn't it? He kind of
today I noticed it more than a lot of times. I think probably because we needed him to be more accurate, with longer passing.
Yeah. As you was a centre back, John, what was your take on the Oggy and Zuma performances?
What you mean? I was like the Hackney Marshes Van Dijk. You mean, didn't you?
That's it. Yeah.
I think Zuma played well. And I think Ogbonna played well, but listen, let's be honest, Tony's a great striker in terms of he just doesn't stop. He's a pest. He's fast, he's quick, he's strong. He's a bit similar to Antonio in certain ways. And I think they dealt with him generally okay, but they did make a couple of poor ricks. And I think was it Ogbonna that gave away the free kick for their goal?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't think it was on Tony, but
Hold on. If he did that, I'm dropping him to a 7, by the way.
No, it was Ogbonna. It was Ogbonna.
I wasn't in the ground. I'll drop him to a 7. Go on.
Yeah.
Carry on,
I mean, I'm not, again, you can't blame them. They played very well. And but it's just Brentford, I'm not being funny, Gal. I know you said they'll come back down to earth, but they're a good side.
Yeah.
They're a quick side. And they've
They
got
are a
no
good side.
fear. And it's that first season syndrome. A lot of teams, when they come up, as you know, they have a great first season because Premier League teams don't know much about them. They don't know how to play against them.
I think that's it, and I think you're right. And what happens is that's the reason why they're able to kick on, because they know how these Premier League teams are going to play. They're going to have done their homework. Whereas they're an unknown quantity to us, aren't they? We don't really know how to approach them yet. And I think the same will happen with them. I do think that Tony, not too sure about Bueno, even though he did score today, he's a good player. But I think that Tony, he's different class. I think he won't be at Brentford for long. But in terms of the rest of them, I think they're a pretty average team that just work really, really hard. They work hard. But Tony is class. I mean, he didn't score today. Could have. He had that left-footed volley, which got saved. But what was most impressive with him was his play from deep. He can't pick a pass.
Yeah,
his weighted pass is beautiful. I mean, it was him that kind of set up whatever his name is, not Canelo. That's a boxer, isn't it? But he set him up for his shot that got parried to the other chap, Kinder Bueno, who put it in the net.
The funny thing, the funny thing about that was that guy. What's his name? Who scored? Kinder Bueno.
Kinder Bueno, yeah, that's it. Yeah.
There was an incident in the second half where we sit and the ball went off for a throw. And I think it was Cresswell went to pick it up and he knocked it out of Cresswell's hands.
Yeah.
So all the fans started going mental and going, "You're a sub because you're shit" or something like that. Right?
Yeah.
And then he came on and scored. So it's
I know.
Why
always away. Always away. But the ref was terrible today. I mean, his worst decision today was the Antonio one, where the keeper's come out to claim it. He's caught the ball and he's basically just smashed it on top of Antonio's head. He almost poleaxed Antonio, and they gave a foul against Antonio.
Yeah, I think he was also poor on allowing them to take so long with every throw-in, goal kick. And you could say you could say like, well, they're going to do that, and yes, they are going to do that. But as a Premier League referee, he needs to clamp down on it early, otherwise. I know it sounds dramatic and it's not sour grapes. We may do that in that same situation, but to come to West Ham and get a win for them, is great. It's a great result for them. Let's be honest about it, because we're massive.
Yeah.
Because we're so massive, as Gary knows. So if you allow them to continuously waste, I was counting. I'm sounding really sad now, but when the goalkeeper was taking goal kicks, I kept watching the clock on the screen, and on average, it was taking him 10, 11 seconds to kick the ball. Now it might not sound a lot, but if he's having 10 to 15 goal kicks a game, in a half, and then all the throw-ins as well, it all adds up.
It weren't only the goalkeeper. It was whoever got the ball. They would take ages. They would either kick it away and then walk gently after it, or now you could say it's mastering the dark arts and it's fantastic and everything else. But exactly like you said, the referee shouldn't be allowing that. Yeah. And the referee just played into their hands by constantly fucking blowing up all the time.
Yeah,
he never had the whistle out of his mouth, did he?
No, I totally agree with you, mate.
Shall we? I'll tell you what I haven't done. I haven't run through. I've been really ignorant. I haven't run through the comments. So, if I just quickly flick through them, there might be some questions in here as well. Hang on a minute. Yeah. Bad day at the office. Yes, indeed. So, a few of our players well below. These are bloody anonymous messages. I don't know where they're from. Yeah. So that's from Lee. Second half FC. Time to come out swinging next game to prove we don't need to kick up the arse.
Second half FC.
Go on, then have a little portion.
There you go. Someone agrees with you, Gary. That's very unusual. Fornals and Benny didn't really get in the game.
I thought Benrahma was quite indecisive a lot today. He's come on a lot this season, as we all know, but today he seemed to make the wrong decision a lot of the times, and he held on to the ball that one touch too long.
Yeah.
There was one moment in particular, apart from the bloody shots that he kept on taking when he had other options. There was one moment in the second half where he sort of went on a little run. He picked the ball up. He skipped past one player, skipped past another. I think Bowen was through. The pass was obvious, and he just held on to it and just carried on trying to do it himself. But yeah, so we've got another one from Lee. Happens every time. We always give small clubs a chance.
Yeah, he's right.
Yeah.
Very elitist.
What's that noise?
What's that noise?
Don't know.
Go on.
So we've got. It's come back again. We were shocking.
Yeah,
we was. The Rice Cross was the one. That was the one. Did you have a good angle on that one, Odds? What is that noise?
I don't know. I can't hear it. Might be me.
Sounds like you're clapping.
Definitely not clapping.
No. Yeah, but that Rice Cross where the ball was whipped in, and then you had Antonio and Tuchel both going for the same bloody ball, and they both missed it. It should have been Antonio because Tuchel was behind him. He was blocking his line of sight. But go for another one. Where are we? Would have been lucky to get a point.
Would have took it, but Brentford was a far better side.
Yeah, they were in the first half. They were the better side.
Yeah, maybe. First half, yeah.
They were.
But we were far better in the second half, I thought.
Someone said Benrahma made the keeper safe from the free kick. It weren't going in. It was about 6 inches over the bar. I'm guessing that's James. James loves Benrahma. Hang on, where are we? I like Benrahma as well, but no, he was off it today. Right, hang on.
Yeah.
Where are we? What about Fornals today? What did he do? Well, not a lot. Not a lot.
Square root of fuck all. That's what he did today.
What is that noise? Hang on. Oz, 1 minute. It's definitely Oz. It's definitely John. I've just muted him.
Yeah, it's him.
Is it still there? Is the noise still there? Hang on. Are you clicking a keyboard or something? That's what it sounds like.
No, I'm not.
I said, mate, disconnect and come back in.
Yeah. All right, go on.
So should have got a winner from the Rice Cross. Suchek should have. Yeah. I'm not sure about that. I think you may be right, but I think that was Antonio's to put away. I mean, if he hadn't have drawn his head back 2 foot to smash it in, he probably would have got his nut on the end of it. So we got one from Michael Brennan. I think the Brentford 22 was related to the ref. He got away with murder. Yeah, he did. Yeah. He did. Yeah. He got a booking in the end, though, didn't he? Did he get a book?
Yeah, I think he did. Yeah,
the centre back who got away with murder.
Yeah, that's the one that was baiting Moyes.
Right, here we go. This is I don't know who it's from. It's anonymous, but the protest has nothing to do with today's result.
Yeah, look, I'll probably agree. But the point was, if the protest were, like Nick said, if the protest was in view of the team bus, why would you do that? Why would you do that?
Yeah, no. What did you think, John? Do you reckon? I don't know what your take is on that, on the protests. Whether you because where they was positioned, at the back of the basically en route where the players drive into the back of the ground. So
the GSB thing, was it?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, until you've just mentioned it, then I didn't know anything about it. If I'm honest with you, I mean, I'm very like I find it hard to. I'll never boo a player when he's in my shirt. I'll never make a player feel uncomfortable and all that. And I know they wasn't, and they're not there to do that, and they're entitled to have their opinion. But I just think before a game, if the players are seeing it, I don't think it creates a lot of unity, if that's the right word.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm not having a go at the guys. As I said, they're entitled to do exactly what they want, and we all know that the world we live in, we're all entitled to demonstrate. And I don't disagree with them, if I'm honest with you. Maybe what I disagree with is timing and before games and all that. Do you know what I mean? A little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
That's all I'd say.
That's the main problem. I think that's what most people have got an issue with. I think if it was done at other times, it wouldn't be a problem, would it? But anyway, I'll tell you what we have got here. We've got our first YouTube comment.
Right.
Cameraman TV. Poor depending plus poor ref equals recipe for disaster.
Yeah,
who's Cameraman TV?
Agreed.
I don't know. He's
trying to. That's a bit of advertising he's done there. Oh my God! So blatant, these people. He owes you a £5, Nick.
He does. Right, he's come back again. Look, how can I come on?
For the love of God.
Hammerman TV. Sorry, mate. We're quite new to this, so we do normally sort of run through the comments midway through. But I will definitely, I'll contact you. We'll definitely get you on next time, mate. Sorry about that. Facebook, just looking at the stats again, we absolutely smashed them in the second half, but they had the first 30 minutes of the first half. The ref was a complete nightmare. Yeah. I agree. Yeah, I agree. But anyway, I think have you got any more points, John? Yourself that you want to touch on?
I will just say, let's stick with them. We've got to believe in the Moisaya. We have got a small squad. I'm worried that it could be a constant Thursday hangover thing, and I do worry about that scenario continuing with a small squad. Obviously, Moyes couldn't bring anyone on, or chose not to bring anyone on, and it may be not through the want of trying, because he was going to bring Vlasic on, but the squad is an issue, and we're not being crying over spilt milk, and after the horses bolted and saying it again and again, but it will when it possibly can become an issue. And all we've got to do is embrace what Moyes has done for us so far and not get on his back too
agree.
much.
I agree.
Let's just hope. Let's just hope Noble's back in the starting 11 next week, eh?
I agree with you, because I do think when you look at the upcoming fixtures that we've got, it could potentially look. It wouldn't be surprising if we did have a bit of a bad run. We've got a couple of really, really tough games. And I think you're right. What we have to do is, because then you've got to think beyond November, December looks good for a change. We've got a good December. So I think when you look at that next run of fixtures, it does look tough. It doesn't mean we're not going to get anything out of it. But I do think that,
No, I think you're right. It's tough coming up. But, we very rarely, if ever, lose 2 games on the spin with Moyes. We always bounce back. Everton away, I think I'd rather be playing them away, with in the next game rather than at home. Nothing against at home, but I think our game is really well suited to playing away. Hopefully, listen. Now the dust has settled. We've lost the game. I don't feel we should have lost the game, but we did. Right?
Yeah,
we did. There were a number of under par performances. I'm not keen on what Moyes did today. I think he made a bit of a balls up or two. But having said that, this is
not going to get it right every week, is he?
Well, no, it's not. And it's sport, and that's what's the beautiful thing about sport. But this is the kind of this could be a very timely kick up the backside.
Yeah.
I
think so. I think so. And like I say, if we go and get a surprise result, against a Liverpool or someone like that. You know, you don't know. I mean, that team today, Brentford, you know, they drew 3-3 against Liverpool. Nothing's impossible. So, yeah, we shall see. But we've got the international break coming up now. So, at least with...
at least all the internationals can come back knackered in a couple of weeks' time, yeah?
I know. It's especially Antonio, because we're going to need him for that Everton game, aren't we?
Yeah.
You know,
anyway,
they look really good the other day. But anyway, let's wrap it up.
Let's finish on a high note. We'll be back for Everton. We're going to give them a good seeing too.
We will. No, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll probably come back on next Friday night and just have a drink. So we'll do our Friday night show again.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
But John, thanks for joining, mate. That was really good. You need to get yourself a better connection other than that dial-up broadband that you've got. That was good.
Yeah, cheers, John.
He's I don't know what he's so tight. He's caked up. He's a cab driver. He's got loads of money, but he won't go out and buy himself get himself good broadband. Right. Yeah. So okay. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks all.
Laters.
Bye.